Hello, welcome to class this month, beginning with footwork. So the coolest thing is that we can actually do footwork on all pieces of equipment. And I thought it'd be really fun to do that, and also understand, like, what do we do footwork for? How much should we be like critical of ourselves during it, and what really should be happening? So my goal here is that, especially on the Cadillac, is that we will start with footwork, but then we will explore other pieces of this equipment that will help us challenge what we learn in a very closed chain, and then take that with us throughout our exercises. And then we'll just double check and see how we're feeling, right? So the best way to figure out how we're feeling in footwork is just to do the mat version. So we'll do that together. So lie on your back. Hands can be underneath your hips or behind your head. Heels together, toes apart. Push those legs out and pull in. And as the legs go out, we don't want it to pull ourself off of our backs. You want to keep your low ribs pulling down into the mat as your legs go out, and as your legs come in. What we also don't want is the chest dropping down. So from tailbone to crown of the head, we're not being disturbed by what's happening with our legs. Bend your knees in. You can rest your head for a second. Then you're going to squeeze those legs together, have a little flex in your ankles with a curl in your toes, and push those legs out and in. Oh, parallel arches is always hard for me. So we're just noticing how we're feeling. You're not trying to judge anything that's happening at all. You're just asking yourself, how does this feel? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Does it feel hard? Does it feel easy? What feels hard versus what feels easy? And then rest. Flex your ankles and your toes. Press out. Reach those heels across the room and pull in and out and in and reach and in. 3 more. And 2. Last one. Stay out there. Turn out, point, and flex. And then bend in. Woo! Okay, so you have an idea of how you feel? Now, let's put your tower on. We'll set you up like you're gonna do tower, we're gonna do footwork first. So safety is on. 1 to 2 springs from below. If you have a really light spring, I definitely want you to do 2. If you have a heavier spring, 1 is fine. If you have a really tight lower back, you might want to put like a Wunda chair or something so that your head can be a little even further back than the edge of the mat. Otherwise, head at the edge of the mat. And then put your feet on. Now, normally you would do this on the guillotine versus a Cadillac, just so you know. And you're going to have those heels tight together. You get to see your feet. Point through your foot, and then as you bend your knees and keep your tailbone where it is, so you're going to stop if your tailbone starts to lift up and bend. And you're just going to try with each rep to get a little bit deeper. So the goal is not that we're like, oh, that's as far as I go, and then do that 10 times. It's like, well, that's as far as I can go on this one, and repeat. As far as I can go on this one, and repeat. And on this one, ooh, getting a little bit more out of it. And you're noticing what's happening in your feet. Again, we're not going to try to like fix anything, but you can go, oh gosh, my feet keep rolling out. How can I reach to my big toes a little bit more? And then what will happen is, hopefully as we do the rest of our practice, we'll get a little bit more control over that. Go ahead and come on to your arches parallel and together. You can always do this apart if you need to, especially to create more space, or if your pelvis, sacrum body requires that, right? So it is hard for me to be knees and feet together, and my left hip and my left knee, like my left knee is like, let me just go out to the side. So I'm having to really work on that inner thigh of my left leg, right? And then come on to the heels. And again, you can be apart or together, and you'll bend and straighten. And you're just taking up space in your ribs on the mat and reaching that tailbone down. Whew. Stretching through the lower back, trying to keep the hamstrings on the whole time, because that's what moves the pedal away. It's not this, it's from here, right? And then come back onto the balls of your feet. Heels together, toes apart, and you're going to flex and point and reach those heels up and stretch. So you're allowed to flex the ankles only as much as you hug them towards each other. Last time. And then bend in all the way. Take your feet off when you need to. And then I like to put my knees together, feet apart, just to like settle the front of the hips out, because that can be a lot. We are going to unhook this and come out of here. We will come back to this. So I know this will be a little bit annoying, but let's give our front of our hips a little bit of a break and our back and keep warming ourselves up. So obviously some limitations in how much we can actually flex our hips in that exercise. So with your leg springs on, lie down. You're gonna cross the right spring across your body, put it on your left foot. Okay, so you already know what your feet like to do because you saw it, and you're aware of what your hips want to do because you just felt it, right? So now we're going to take that up a notch. We're going to challenge that. So arms up onto the vertical poles. Your right knee is bent, foot on the floor, standing in that foot a lot. And then you're going to go out. And how much can you bend in? Because we have a spring, right? We can actually bend in more than we could on a reformer, right? So because the foot bar, the height of the foot bar, the length of the carriage really does change that. So by having this leg spring, we can actually really, really work on deep, like getting the deepest hip flexion, knee flexion, ankle flexion our body will allow today. And we're doing asymmetrical work. So it really does allow us to feel like which side is able to control this versus the other. Stay out there on the next one and just go up and down. So if you struggle turning your hamstring on, this is a really good homework assignment for you. You might want to start with this before you go over and do your footwork this month. And then as you bend your knee and drag the foot in, then pick the leg up. Deep hip flexion, push it down, slide it out, and then bend it in. So the strap is on the arch of our foot. So we're getting that footwork arches. And you're reaching long through the ankle, not overreaching. So it's not the strongest point you can do, but it's not flexed. So it's not really toes. It's not really heel. It's in the footwork, but it's long. And then go ahead and straighten your leg. We'll just do some fun circles. So you can either keep the hip down, or if you want to lift the hip up, you can, right? If you've got stuff going on with your sacrum, you'll probably want to keep the hip down. And I just want you to stand in this foot, and I want you to feel what the foot is doing inside of the strap, and then compare it to reverse. Compare it to what it was doing on the foot bar. So is it rolling around on the strap like it did on the foot bar, or is it pretty firm, right? And then bend in, switch sides. So our footwork comes first because it is telling us a lot about what our body and mind are doing that day. Okay, so what I felt in mine was that like I definitely am tight from the travels I've had out and in. And so I really struggled staying out of my hips and staying in my hamstring and glutes and center. And so by having that feeling, now I know for me what I'm searching for in my body as we do the rest of our Cadillac work. For you, you might have felt like you just kept locking your knees out. And so maybe as we do these springs, you're trying to figure out what straight really is for you, right? Versus what straight might feel like. And then you're going to go up and down. And so right here, if you were feeling like you were shoving the tower up from your knees, you're hoping to not feel your knees pull the spring up and down. And then we're going to go down, drag it in, pick it up, push it down, slide it out, and lift. And again, reach, push it down, drag it in, lift, and then reach, slide it out, lift it up, bend. And two more. So you are just noticing, are you getting more of what you wanted out of that you couldn't get in footwork, or are you still stuck, right? Because that's it. That's just, it's all feedback. We are not going into your circles, 5 each direction. We are not ever trying to be perfect in footwork. We're trying to let footwork tell us where we need to explore our practice more that day. And reach. And also let our footwork even ground us, right? So in footwork, you do turned out parallel, right? You do point and you do flex.